On August 23rd, 1617, in the house of Don Gonzalo de la Maza, accountant of the Viceroyalty of Peru, in Lima, known as the City of Kings, Isabel Flores de Oliva died. Lying on a bed and surrounded by her family and her closest friends, her protectors, Gonzalo de la Maza, his wife, Maria de Izatagui, and their daughters. Look attentively at the young 31-year-old woman known at the time as Rosa de Santa Maria. Seated, with a Bible in his hand, the prior of the convent of La Magdalena, the Dominican friar Bartolome Martinez, prays for the soul of Rosa, since he served as her confessor for the last 5 years. Behind him, Doña Luisa Melgarejo and her sisters Inés de Ibiarte and Isabel de Jesus prayerfully observe the suffering of their spiritual sister. Also in the room is Simona, more than a slave, but Rosa's faithful and cherished friend. With great solemnity and silence, Don Juan del Castillo, one of the most gifted minds of the time, a doctor by profession, celebrated and applauded by the University of San Marcos, a man of science devoted to mystical theology, observes all of the events happening inside the room with great attention. Finally, seated at the side of the bed are Don Gaspar Flores, Doña Maria de Oliva, and Fernando Flores de Oliva, the parents and brother of Rosa, who mourn the early and unfortunate passing of a woman who would become, after a long and at times uncertain process of canonization, the first saint of the New World. Her intense pains are worsened by the extreme fever and the emotional and mortal anxieties that afflict Rosa de Santa Maria.
Mother, please save your tears, which shouldn't be shed except for sin. Don't worry about calling a doctor. Dr. Del Castillo is here. And he knows more than anyone that the only doctor I need is in heaven. Dear Father, wipe away your tears. Don't cry anymore. Be rightly proud of what you've done for me and for every member of our family. Thank you for teaching me about so many things in Tibet. And thank you for the great gift of the Holy Sacrament of Confirmation, which I received from Archbishop Don Toribio de Mogrovejo, who was such a holy man. Fernando, dear brother, fix my pillow. I wish to rest. Come, listen to me.
Don't talk to your sister. Just rest.
I know that you're now living your dream. I remember the fun we had playing in the garden, and how you helped me build my hermitage. You always wanted to be a noble soldier like Dad, and you're now one yourself. We're all so proud of you. God's providence is great. I know that you're married and a great lieutenant in the southern land. Please, don't forget to fulfill your obligation as a father of a Catholic family among the duties of war. You must teach them the divine law. And your children must be raised with good morals. I know that your first daughter has been named Rosa. Fernando, she will live with our mother in the convent of St. Catherine.
Rosa,
And that convent doesn't exist in the city or in the southern lands.
Heavenly visions require a special intelligence, dear brother.
Rosa. Rosa, my daughter. How long will you keep dreaming? Do you know what it costs to build a convent? Where will you find the land? Or builders? Construction materials? Workers and slaves? Where will you find all the money? Stop dreaming, my daughter. And help me with the chores of the house. We have enough to worry about.
Mother, sweet mother, don't doubt. You'll receive great blessings in the convent of St. Catherine of Siena. Look, I'm drawing it here. It's almost finished. You'll be one of the first women to wear the white habit of a nun. You'll receive the veil and make your profession. You will live there until the end of your days, accompanied by one of your granddaughters.
Me? Become a nun? Me? Who always considered the possibility of becoming a nun? Me? Who has no dowry and doesn't know how to sing or do needlepoint? I, who have always lived entangled in the cares of our time, without zeal, without devotion, and laden with children. I will enclose myself in a cloistered monastery, receive the veil, and profess a rule that is as rigorous as it is difficult? May the Lord save me. Stop speaking about all this nonsense. When elephants fly, you'll see your dream come true. Enough already, Rosa, enough. I'm sick of your delusions. I am no friend of such excessive pious holiness.
Mother, do not disapprove of the habit, because you'll be wearing one.
Be quiet now, Rosa. And do not exhaust my patience or make me believe impossibilities. Ah! And I warn you, do not think about using this side of the house as an infirmary.
Despite her mother's wishes, Rosa de Santa Maria converted a wing of their home into an infirmary for indigenous people who couldn't be treated as patients in hospitals like Spaniards and Creoles. Here, Rosa daily attended and ministered to patients suffering from fever, malaria, the plague, and a number of other common diseases during the colonial era. At that time, hospitals also served as places for those suffering from unknown diseases, for which no treatment was known or available, to die in peace. In her care for the sick, Rosa de Santa Maria may have contracted a series of infections that, when combined with the anemia caused by her constant fasting, led to her early death. Lima, the capital of the Viceroyalty of Peru, had one of the largest black populations. The number of slaves eventually surpassed the number of native Spaniards and Creole Europeans born in the New World. Slaves were considered the living property of wealthy families. That is, they were viewed as having the same economic value as cattle or other farm animals. Slaves were born to be servants and had no way to improve their lot in life. Within this historical context, Rosa de Santa Maria went against the customs of her society and had a special concern for the black population. For her, all were equal and deserved to receive the same humanitarian treatment.
Simona? Simona! Drink Drink it slowly, Simona. You'll get better, Simona. Today, you'll come and stay with me until I depart from this life for our Father's house. Yes, our Father. My mother and father are your parents, too. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph will take care of you. When I'm gone, you'll take care of my mother. And then we'll all meet and live happily ever after, surrounded by heavenly angels in eternal paradise, where there is no hunger, thirst, or sickness, and we'll enjoy the grace of God for all eternity. Eat slowly and regain your strength. When we get back home, we'll cure your breast disease.
I can't go. He won't let me.
Let's go, Simona.
Miss Rosa, how did you get in? What a pleasant surprise. Would you like something to eat or drink? We didn't know you were coming. My husband, Angelino, was going to find a doctor for Simona. You know that she can't be treated at San Andres Hospital because she's a slave.
Don't worry, Doña Maria. I'll take Simona. She needs to get well.
Miss, my husband, Angelino, isn't home now. I'll have to discuss it with him.
Tell your pious husband that he'll paint a portrait of me someday, and his name will be remembered for many centuries. Here, take these 50 silver ducats as payment for Simona. Tomorrow, you'll go with my mother to the notary and present the papers.
As you wish, Miss Rosa.
And make haste to keep this place clean. God bless you, Doña Maria.
Miss Maria, your food is ready. Chicken vegetable stew, baked turkey with fabada peas, and chocolate with sweet bread, just like you requested.
Thank you, Anna Maria. We'll serve the food when Rosa arrives. She'll be here soon. And make sure that Rosa's room is ready, okay?
As you wish.
Anna Maria, please send for Francisco.
Yes, my lord.
My dear wife, do you know anything about Rosa's health?
Oh, I'm afraid it's not very good. The doctors in the city can't explain it.
But what does she have exactly?
I don't know. It's a very unusual disease. She suffers from fainting spells, and sometimes she even loses consciousness. But the doctors say it's her heart, but no one has a remedy.
We have to receive Rosa with a great sense of responsibility and discretion. You know, her family is going through a very tough time. We also need to be very attentive to everything that is said about her in the city.
Her holiness is becoming widely known, and news of it has even spread abroad. She is such a caring soul to the most needy and marginalized. By washing, cleaning, and treating her patients, Rosa has exposed herself to many horrible diseases. Her parents' house has even become an infirmary. Gonzalo, we have to protect and take care of her. This is what we promised her parents and confessors. Her health is deteriorating. Rosa has cured many people of incurable diseases. but is unable to treat herself. Isn't that ironic? Gonzalo, you've been so distant for many days now.
Yes, Maria, sorry, you're right. An order from the Viceroy has kept me awake for several nights.
What is it, Gonzalo?
The Viceroy wants me to travel far away to raise more taxes. I don't want to accept this commission, but the Viceroy is determined that I should be the one to go. I don't want to leave you alone. Neither you nor our girls. I really don't want to leave you. Especially at this time.
Gonzalo, why didn't you tell me?
I didn't want to worry you, my love.
Your experience and integrity make you the most reliable person and the best choice.
I'm certainly honored by his confidence. But to avoid doing this, I have tried to be excused by making an official request to the royal court. I made it a week ago.
Did they answer you?
Yes. It was denied.
Well, don't worry about it, my love. We'll fix that later. Now, we must be clear-minded and content so that we can welcome Rosa, okay?
You're very right.
Rosa has arrived. Andrea, Micaela, come and see a living saint.
Mr. and Mrs. de la Mata, as you agreed with Rosa's parents and confessors, as of today, Isabel Flores de Oliva will remain under your protection.
Thank you, Luisa. You finally arrived. We were worried. Welcome, Rosa. From now on, this is your home.
Thank you for so much kindness. Andrea, Micaela, how you've grown. Sisters, Isabel and Inez, let us thank Jesus and our Blessed Mother for having such a kind and honorable family as our protectors. Now, if you'll excuse me, I wish to pray in the oratory.
Girls, accompany Rosa to the oratory.
Don Gonzalo, do not worry anymore. Mother, even though your husband has his boots in his stirrups and is ready to travel to distant lands, don't think he'll have to make this journey that concerns him so much. This arduous task, which so concerns him, has been given to someone else, and you will be free. If you'll excuse me.
Well, gentlemen, don't just stand there. Go, take this luggage to the other patio. And Francisco will show you to the room.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Master, this letter has arrived for you.
Thank you.
With your permission.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you. Oh, you will not travel to those distant lands, but stay here with us.
That's right, Maria. That's right. How could Rosa have predicted this?
I'll keep it. I wouldn't want you to lose it. Gonzalo, we have so much to learn from her. It's a blessing to have her with us. It's not easy being a good Christian, and it's not enough for us to give materially. Or think that we're good people. Being a good Christian is something more. And Rosa lives in holiness every day.
You're right. But as I've already said, we have to respond to all of this calmly and prudently. Remember that the religious people we have at home are being observed by the prosecutor and Dr. Francisco Verdugo. A very good source told me that the Inquisition also wants to investigate Rosa.
You must stop it, Gonzalo. Please, stop it.
It is a very sensitive matter, Maria. That's why you must speak with Rosa's parents and siblings and warn them not to say anything to anyone about her holiness.
Yes. I'll go tomorrow to see them after love. Yes. But you have to convince yourself that Rosa is a living saint. She loves God more than anyone in these lands.
Of course I believe it. I believe it with all my heart, Maria. And I also believe that God placed her in our path. Who could have told us, after we married in Spain so many years ago, that we'd give up everything to start a new life in this new world and separate ourselves from our beloved sons, Diego and Geronimo? There's no doubt that God is the one who sets our path, and I'm sure that He has placed His beloved daughter, Rosa, under our responsibility and protection. That is why... Maria, our first goal is for Rosa to recover physically and be at peace. Don't worry about anything. She must live her mystical life to the fullest so she can write her inspirations and reflections, just as Blessed Teresa de Cepeda y Almada is doing.
Better known as Teresa of Avila.
It just so happens that Teresa's brother is here in the New World. I spoke with him a few weeks ago. He told me that his sister's canonization is near, and that everyone praises and recites her lyrical poetry, and her famous book, The Way of Perfection. Oh, and the no less famous The Interior Castle, among her other works.
And what is her brother doing now?
Well, ironically, Captain Hernando is in the Amazon looking for the City of Gold. Oh, Maria, you must encourage Rosa to write.
Her mother told me that Rosa can read and write very well.
That's why. She must write down everything. Absolutely everything.
Influenced by the works of Teresa of Avila, Don Gonzalo de la Maza encouraged Rosa to produce her own writings. According to various chronicles of the time, Rosa eventually wrote a book about her visions and conversations with God. It is believed that this was kept for many years in the monastery of Santa Rosa de Santa Maria. However, The current location of this book is unknown. There are some who believe that it became part of a private collection in the Netherlands. If this is the case, Rosa de Santa Maria could be considered one of the foundresses of the first female literary movement in the New World. Be that as it may, her activities were not seen positively by the Holy Office, which initiated an investigation of her.
My dearest Lord, when will everyone love you as you deserve? How long will you have to endure those who disrespect you and offend you by their sins? Who can make everyone know how worthy you are to be loved and help them understand that you deserve to be loved for who you are and not because of a servile fear of punishment or an interest in reward?
What? What am I seeing? Mother! Mother!
What is it, Andrea?
Look at the face of Jesus on the canvas. It's covered in sweat.
Rosa, have you sprayed the image with water? Andrea, call your father. Run! 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 Rosa? What does this mean? His face is full of precious pearls that shine like diamonds.
Feel blessed, Mother. They're the graces of God, even though we are unworthy of them.
Master Angelino, you painted that canvas. Tell us, what kind of paint or varnish did you use?
Don Gonzalo, it doesn't smell like paint. It's a clear, watery liquid that doesn't come from the canvas. This is supernatural.
Don't be afraid. This apparition will not bring misery or disgrace.
It surpasses all understanding.
On the contrary, Jesus, our Savior, wants us to know him, love him, and serve him above all things.
God, forgive me for how badly I behaved towards my neighbors. Especially Simona. Poor Simona.
Grow, said the Virgin. Grow, Lord. May the flames of charity and the fire of your being ignite love in all of the people present here. Please, could you leave me alone, Miss Doña Maria? Mother, you must honor, worship, and serve the Lord, our King of glory, with great sincerity and love. Through this image, he will give us countless gifts of healing. Here, take it, Mother.
What do I do with this?
Dry the sweat of our Lord with these pieces of cotton, which will cure the sickest and the most needy. This holy face will give many favors.
If they discover that this image is an instrument of grace and favors, they'll come and take it with
Don't
them.
worry, Mother. God is benevolent. He will not leave this house. This house will be a holy sanctuary in the future. Seek, find, and care for the most needy.
During the first years of the 17th century, a large number of pious women said they had encounters with God. They were known as the Illuminated Ones. These women, inspired by the writings of the great mystics of the Church, such as Saints Catherine of Siena and Teresa of Avila, asserted that they had conversations with God, visions of heaven, and even took souls out of purgatory. From the perspective of the Holy Office of the Inquisition, the lifestyles of these women did not serve as models of faith, nor advance the harmony the viceroyalty sought to maintain. Rosa de Santa Maria practiced a faith and a mysticism different from others. Since she challenged many of the established customs of the time, the Holy Office considered her another illuminated one.
Lord, may your will be done. Guardian angel, fly to the Creator and tell him that I live but have no life. Tell him my anxiety and great rigor. Beg him to come to me quickly and show me his face because I die of love.
Rosa, come. Serve me. Serve me. I'll give you what everyone wants. What women desire. Fame. Power. I will give you a golden castle. You just have to leave those miserable and filthy sick people.
Lord, protect us. Protect the souls of those who acknowledge and praise you from the hands of these bloody beasts of hell.
You are alone. Alone. Your heavenly angels have abandoned you.
Scabies, foul beasts, return to your deepest cave. I command you in the name of Jesus. You miserable pig, go away. You'll never possess my soul. You dirty animal. Curse me as much as you like, but you won't conquer me, because the Lord is my help. Rosa! Rosa!
Rosa, what happened? Who's there? Who's there? Rosa. Rosa, calm down, Rosa. There, Rosa. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's all over now.
My God. My God. Why have you abandoned me?
It's over. Rosa. Let's go. Come on. It's over now. It's over.
The Holy Office did not believe that Rosa de Santa Maria had a special relationship with God. Suspecting that she was another illuminated one, they believed that her words and actions came from the devil. They didn't know that the devil attacked Rosa many times. In all her confrontations, Rosa always emerged victorious, supported by her deep love for Christ.
Dr. Del Castillo, may I have a moment with you? Alone?
Gonzalo, you were warned. It's the third citation. The Holy Office has ordered Rosa to be interviewed. We'll ask her our questions today, whether she's indisposed or not.
Father Superior, give me a moment to speak with Gonzalo. Gonzalo, I warned you, this is no longer in my hands. If we do not interview her today, she'll be arrested.
She's very surprised by this, and even more by your participation in this investigation. You've known her since she was a child. How could you, Juan, after so many years of friendship...
I'm ready for the interrogation.
Rosa, sit next to your mother. One of the two spouses has to leave.
Go with God, Father.
Excuse me.
Please begin.
Rosa, I will ask you some questions. Answer briefly, and remember you are under oath. Answer truthfully, with nothing but the truth. Let's begin the interview.
Rosa, how long have you experienced these inner promptings and desires of heaven, which led you to a quietness and tranquility of prayer?
My God, protect your daughters. Lord, please do not let your daughter Rosa be harmed in any way. Please, Lord, I beg you, protect us and preserve all the members of my family from danger. Dearest Lord, protect us. My Lord, protect your daughters. Please protect us.
Although he didn't know it at the time, Dr. Del Castillo would himself observe Rosa in prayer sometime later and witness her unforgettable quietness and tranquility, which was characteristic of her life of prayer until the moment of her death.
I pray to my sweet Master that I may depart from this life and be seated at the table of his glory without suffering the flames of purgatory. Father, Mother, give me your blessing. Please forgive my offenses. And do not forget to worship Christ.
Rosa, you're not sick. God has saved you. God has saved you. Look at your rosy face. You're only 31 years old. 31.
Father, you must know that tonight, on the feast of St. Bartholomew, I shall depart to celebrate the eternal wedding feast in heaven. I have been invited to the banquet. My time in this world has come to an end.
I would like to introduce you to the Dominican friar, Father Francisco Balcazar, who knew Rosa very well during her life. His reverence has been named by the province of St. John the Baptist, of the Order of Preachers, as the postulator to give the perpetual remembrance of Rosa's life, work, and miracles on behalf of her sacred congregation. Father Francisco, I understand you have some important news to share with us.
I wish to thank God. My order
Don Gonzalo and Doña Maria, and countless parishioners and individuals who have received thousands of graces and miracles from the Lord through Rose of Intercession. On this 5th day of September, we will begin the first stage for her canonization. Doctor, you know very well that your integrity is unquestioned in the city. That is why we would like you to lead this process, which will be officially overseen and recorded by the respected notary, Jaime Blanco, who has many years of experience in this area.
Besides Juan, we've already resolved our differences. We all know very well that you were coerced and forced to conduct the examination you gave to Rosa with Father Lorenzo.
Don Gonzalo, Dr. Juan always sought the truth, and this was reflected in his report. Thanks to this, the prosecutor Francisco Verdugo dismissed the case against Rosa.
And against the other female religious.
That's why all of us here would like you to be the first witness of this process.
No. I had doubts about her. I'm not worthy of this honor.
She would be very happy if you accepted. You can rest assured that she forgave you before departing to meet God, the Father.
This is our chance to tell the world about Rosa. There is much speculation about her. Even more so now that all the mourning veils were sold out in the city after her funeral.
Many zealous people are among us, and with them more illuminated ones.
We also have to persuade Dr. Balthazar de Padilla.
He was appointed by Archbishop Don Bartolome Lobo Guerrero as the Archdiocese Penitentiary Canon and as the lead judge of the commission reviewing Rosa's cause. His intentions are clear, and it's only you, Doctor, who can convince him.
During the first days of September 1617, shortly after Rosa's death, a commission appointed by Archbishop Don Bartolome Lobo Guerrero invited witnesses to speak about the prodigious life, death, and remarkable miracles attributed to Rosa de Santa Maria during the first process for her canonization. A total of 32 questions were asked of 75 witnesses, 35 men and 40 women. Among all the responses given, the most notable were those given by Dr. Juan del Castillo, the one who most helped the world come to know the woman we refer to today as Saint Rose of Lima.
Question 10. From the tender age of 10, Rosa de Santa Maria practiced frequent and fervent prayer. She spent a large part of the day and almost every night doing interior spiritual exercises, even when occupied in sewing or in other external chores and activities. Please tell us what you know or may have heard about these.
Approximately 2 years ago, the official Gonzalo de la Maza and his wife Doña Maria de Saragui asked me to visit them in their home to examine Rosa de Santa Maria, who was quite sick at the time. They also wanted me to speak with her and observe her way of life. This would have been in 1615 when I first went to the house of the de la Maza family, located in the neighborhood of Santa Ana. And after I arrived, they took me to where she was. I hope that each of you are well today.
Please sit, Doctor.
Even though the profound spirituality of Rosa de Santa Maria was already well known, many specific details of her interior life had not been shared with most of those living closest to her. However, since he was a man learned in science and faith, Dr. Del Castillo succeeded in encouraging Rosa to reveal personal experiences and the knowledge that God had placed in her mind and heart that she had never shared before.
Thank you. Do you like your new house?
This isn't my house, Doctor. This is the house of God.
I know you've only been here for a few days now. I was referring to your move here. As you know, Gonzalo and Maria are very concerned about your physical health and your frequent fainting spells.
It's been a very long time since I last saw you at my parents' house.
I remember it well. That morning, your beloved mother asked me to come in to see you because of an abscess in your little finger. But when I arrived at your house, you were praying without any pain. You were an inquisitive little girl.
I was 5 years old when you visited me in our garden for the first time. As a child, I practiced mental prayers, which I continued throughout the day and night, even while doing many chores. I thought about and praised God at every moment with great fervor.
You were also very affectionate with your siblings. But you also sought solitude.
We're not all equal. Some need solitude and silence to be able to think about and speak with God. It's a rough road, but one feels much sweetness.
But also, part of that sweetness lies in knowing how to share with others. Your garden, your hermitage, your infirmary, and now this oratory. You have always been a prisoner of the most needy.
There is no prison for the soul. The only prison is the one we build ourselves. I know that my parents and my protectors care a lot about me. But I also sent for you, Dr. Del Castillo. Do you want to know the whole truth?
Rosa, my only goal is to help you. Let me be a living witness of your holiness that is spoken about in the city. The Viceroy himself is aware of this.
We can all attain holiness, Doctor. Both those who lived centuries ago and those living today were all meant to be saints. I don't deserve these graces, but my Lord has wanted to unite me with him since I was 12 years old.
What happened when you were 12?
God placed in me a restlessness for spiritual love. The vain world doesn't interest me. I feel that I offend God when I lower spiritual gifts to my understanding and not raise my understanding to spiritual gifts.
Rosa, can you help me understand the reality that you're living? Does Jesus Christ want you like this? Submerged in this solitude?
I perceive my soul submerged in God. And even though I communicate with you or another person, I'm always united with his divine majesty. He visits me even in my silence and in my solitude.
According to scholastic philosophy, unreal images through the imagination are a normal process of human knowledge. Therefore, let's suppose that during your times of solitude, your imagination creates illusions so that your human knowledge acquires certainty. If we apply this process to the human knowledge of supernatural faith, perhaps you are creating unreal images to produce a firm certainty. These could be supernatural, but not exempt from the risk of error or deception by fallible human judgment.
You speak only as a man of science, Doctor. God must also be seen with the eyes of the soul.
I have been told about many times that you have fainted. Surely this is the result of your constant fasting. Rosa, you must take care of your health.
What is missing is not earthly concerns or speaking, but silence and prayer. Each distracts. Silence and prayer recollect and strengthen the soul. Francisco de Osuna once said, "You must guard your heart, because if the devil finds a crack or an approach that is not well guarded, he will choose that very place to enter the castle of your heart. Oh, blessed tears which purge interior stain and kill the insanities of sin. It is through these tears that souls come to know the soul of their spouse and embrace the one they truly desire."
I visited Rosa frequently during the final 2 years before her death. I was amazed by her erudition as a teacher of the faith and her great knowledge of philosophy and theology.
Dr. Del Castillo, you and I are both men of science. And it seems to me, based on what you've told us and what we all know, Rosa de Santa Maria knew how to read and write. Her mother was a teacher who must have taught her daughter to acquire a habit of reading. I'm certain that Rosa de Santa Maria memorized several writings of theologians, like Luis de Granada and the Andalusian Francisco de Osuna.
Proceed, Dr. Del Castillo.
One event greatly impressed me. While she was in the oratory, praying before the Blessed Sacrament, she was so focused on her prayer that she didn't even notice my presence.
Dr. Del Castillo, just answer the 10th question of the interrogation. From what you have told us, and as far as we know, we acknowledge that Rosa de Santa Maria spent many hours in prayer. Tell us what you know about her spiritual exercises.
Then she also told me about the souls in purgatory. Rosa? Rosa!
What can I do to help liberate souls from purgatory?
When a soul goes to purgatory, it must be purified by the fire of God's love until its faults are cleansed. One of the most effective ways to help them enter paradise is to offer the holy sacrifice of the Mass for their soul. At every Mass, Christ offers himself to God, the love of us. It is the most sublime of offerings, and many souls will be purified.
And you, angels, can you also help these suffering souls?
We join with you to raise and present your supplications and prayers to God. In life, most don't think about us and ignore their own guardian angels. But in this darkness, we console them.
And the saints?
The saints continually pray for them. Only our Mother in heaven and their guardian angel accompany them to leave this place of suffering.
Rosa.
God has graced me to hear their voices. I don't listen to them with my ears, but in the depths of my soul. Lord, your creatures now beg and make reparation for their sins in that dark solitude.
I heard everything you said in your dreams. Who are those creatures?
There were many voices and cries. No one hears them, and they find no consolation. Lord, those souls suffer because they aren't yet worthy to stand before you. Lord!
Be calm, Rosa. Relax, breathe. It's over. Some believe that one human life is not enough to know God and truly convert.
All souls have inner faith, even when they aren't living a spiritual life. They know about God. Every man and woman has a conscience given by God, which is an inner knowledge of good and evil, and to distinguish good from evil. With a pure and well-ordered conscience, a human being can attain blessedness.
What happens to the other souls that know God through other religions?
Those who live their faith in good conscience are at peace. But it's only through the Catholic faith that one can go directly to heaven. This is because Jesus Christ is the only bridge between heaven and earth.
And are there religions that are bad for souls?
There are so many religions on earth. The most similar to the Catholic faith is the Orthodox. Some Protestants also recite the Rosary, but sects are very, very bad. You have to be careful of deception, because if you fall, you have to do everything to get out of them. Who are you? What do you want?
Help me. My angel told me I'd spend a brief time in this place, but I've been suffering for many years.
Are you a consecrated religious? Why are you suffering?
I don't know.
Did you have a pure heart? Did you love your neighbor as Christ commanded? Love covers a multitude of sins.
I was indifferent to Jesus, neglected prayer, and ignored my obligations. I didn't exercise my sacred ministry with proper respect before His sovereign majesty, nor did I sufficiently nurture the love of God in the souls entrusted to my care. I didn't love as God wanted me to love those He entrusted to my ministry.
Your right hand.
I should have blessed others more. Tell all of the priests you meet to bless at all times. They can give many blessings and save many souls. May they pray to the Holy Spirit and pray the Holy Rosary every day.
Rosa, don't concern yourself with what others say. Your voluntary suffering, your mortification, your fast, all of your privations, and naturally the acceptance of your illnesses, sorrows, and abandonment are the greatest proof of your love for God.
My dearest Lord, please help me progress in the acceptance of suffering as a gift and not as a punishment.
Offer everything to God through the Blessed Virgin Mary, for she knows better than anyone who needs that sacrifice to be saved. We must do much for the souls in purgatory. Therefore, we must have a lot of humility. Humility destroys evil.
Who were those creatures or those figures?
On the day of judgment, the works of each will be seen by all, and everything will be tested by fire. If what you have built resists this fire, God will reward you. But if it turns into ashes, then the worker will know that he has built on sand, and will have to pay for that. He'll be saved, but not before passing through purifying fire.
Please answer me. Who were they?
They are the souls in purgatory. Souls are cleansed and purified, like gold in the furnace, leaving no stain so they can be united with God. I cannot find words to describe that beautiful union of purified souls with God.
If I might say something, Mr. Notary.
Proceed, Friar Francisco.
Sometimes we complain because our relatives don't convert. Or the Lord doesn't seem to hear our prayers. But how much do we really strive to seek God? Like this great woman of faith did. And above all, a hard-working woman. With her problems like everyone else. But with something that leaves no excuse. For anyone, because she wasn't a nun.
Wasn't she a member of the Third Order of St. Dominic?
Let me explain, Father Francisco. She was neither a cloistered nun nor a religious sister. She was a member of the laity like you, Dr. de Padilla, a lay woman who had consecrated herself to God through vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience.
So how did she make those vows? To what religious order did she belong to in order to make those promises?
Which religious order required Rosa de Santa Maria to afflict herself with great penances, with her long fasts and mortifying herself with the flagrum, with chains around her waist, and even a crown of thorns? Answer, Dr. Del Castillo. To which religious order did she belong? With the permission of the procurator, I understand that in the order of preachers, no members are obligated to sacrifice themselves in that way, correct? Why her? Doctor, answer. You swore before that cross to tell the truth. Holiness is not a game. I, as the judge of this commission, order you to tell the truth and respond to only what we've asked you. It's my duty to guard the safety of this city. Not a month has passed since Rosa de Santa Maria's death. And we have recently learned about a hagiography written by a friar of this convent, Father Fray Pedro de Loaiza. Have you read it?
Notary, close the official record. Vespers are approaching. We will continue tomorrow after Lodge. Excuse me.
Dr. Juan del Castillo was becoming more and more concerned. He no longer knew how to respond to the repeated and insistent questions about the sacrifices and mortifications that Rosa inflicted upon herself, nor how to explain if she was a member of a formal religious order. Dr. del Castillo couldn't anticipate what would happen the next day before the commission.
Which religious order required Rosa de Santa Maria to afflict herself with great penances, mortifying herself with the flagrum, chains around her waist, and even a crown of thorns? Why her? Doctor, answer. You swore before that cross to tell the truth. Holiness is not a game.
Do not be afraid, Juan. It's me. May the Holy Spirit enlighten you, and the mantle of our Blessed Mother protect you. I know that your fear is not knowing what to say tomorrow. I will quiet the anxieties that torment you. Remember how beautiful is a soul in the state of grace. A pure soul experiences many joys and delights. My spiritual mother, St. Catherine of Siena, and my father, St. Dominic, will await you in the convent. You will no longer dress as a doctor, but wear the habit until the end of your days.
Rosa's apparition that evening made Dr. Del Castillo remember that before her death, she had left him 2 handwritten sheets of paper which contained symbolic drawings and mystical riddles. These described the mercies of the Lord, the interior trials and wounds of the soul that she experienced, and the spiritual scale, where she enumerates the steps that must be followed in the mystical ascension.
Gentlemen, please forgive my tardiness. I've never been late for a meeting before. I am ready to respond to your questions.
On the 6th day of September, 1617, the testimony of Dr. Juan de Castillo, resident of this city, continues, as the official commission is investigating and evaluating the cause for canonization of Rosa de Santa Maria.
Scribe, please record the witness's statements and note that he arrived late, 2/4 of an hour after laws. You may begin, Doctor.
In our city, there are some women who have made private vows of chastity. Some follow specific religious rules and wear habits made by themselves. They live in their own homes or with noble families in the city. Some have established their own small communities of women who are collectively given to religious devotion. In 1545, the Council of Trent placed these pious women, whether they are independent or very close to some religious order, under the supervision of the diocese. As you may have read or heard, whether or not, within this structure, they can wear their habits and follow their rules. They do not foment heresy, as some suggest. Yesterday, you mentioned Rosa de Santa Maria's great penances. But you forgot to name a few.
Father,
she also made processions at night,
who art in heaven,
carrying a heavy cross on her shoulders
be thy name.
that she could barely move.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. On earth as it...
Dr. Juan del Castillo told the members of the court how Rosa frequently carried a large wooden cross that was so heavy that it made her fall to the ground. She did this to feel some of the pain experienced by Christ on his way to Calvary to be crucified and die for the sins of humanity. He also spoke of Rosa sacrificing sleep as an offering to Jesus. She slept on tiles scattered on bare boards that served as her bed, and she rested her head on a stone or on knotted tree trunks. Rosa's soul was deeply in love with Christ. From the very first moment she discovered God, she sought the divine light that would purify her heart, a heart that was capable of great heroism.
Rosa de Santa Maria loved her neighbor as herself. She personified sacrifice, solidarity, humility, self-denial, and the desire to do good. When she knew that a believer was living in sin, she made diligent efforts to liberate that soul from darkness. We could say she extinguished human pain and ignited divine love. She defended the most needy from the prevailing exploitation. She embraced the sick, the poor, Indians, and welcomed them into her home to cure their illnesses. She washed them, mended their garments, and kept vigil over them so they wouldn't lack food or medicine. I've received countless testimonies from all these people who are unjustly forgotten by this viceroyalty. She admirably found different ways to satisfy the hunger of the poor.
Rosa! 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 We must talk.
Tell me, Mother.
Rosa, you smell terrible. Look at your habit. How far will your dishevelment go? You didn't take the white habit to stain it with others' dirt, nor did I name you Rose to carry this disgusting stench.
Mother, when we care for the sick, we are the sweet fragrance of Christ. Charity is not delicate. It isn't disgusted by the wounds of others. Don't worry, Mother, because I have to confess, with all sincerity, that I stained my habit without noticing. Remember how the filthy spit of the executioners stained the face of our Lord Jesus Christ, who died for us.
Rosa! Rosa? Rosa,
We have no space, but more sick people have just arrived. What do we do?
You must be prepared to receive more brethren who need help. Wash them, change their clothes, feed them, and use my room. If you need help, ask my brother Fernando. Mariana, treat them as you did me when I was little.
Yes, Miss Rosa.
Inez, go with Mariana.
Dr. Baltazar de Padilla, despite her mortifications, Rosa didn't have a negative attitude toward the world. She was a very happy woman. She would sing. She loved nature. And above all, she loved her neighbor. You don't understand. She had a spiritual experience in body, mind, and spirit. Her acts of penance were not a disorder of the mind. Have you not yet realized that one can understand her way of holiness through her penances? It is very clear to see. In fact, she took the idea of wearing a crown of thorns from the one St. Catherine of Siena would use herself. Rosa's bed, which looks very difficult to sleep on, was the same kind used by St. Francis of Assisi. Her hermitage, where she spent long hours in prayer, was similar to that of... In fact, her constant fasting followed the guidelines of the famous Spanish anchorite, Gregorio Lopez. Her chain with the padlock at the waist was taken from St. Henry Suso, the 14th century German mystic. She was always in the best of company. All of this was not done with the intention of incurring a personal scourge. No. It was the way she expressed her spirituality while being guided by all of her confessors. Let's remember what happened recently in our city when we ran out of black mourning veils.
How did she follow God? As a religious or as an ordinary laywoman? Answer me, doctor. Answer me!
Dr. Baltazar, quiet yourself. Calm down. Please continue, Dr. Del Castillo.
The very same day, I brought her the loom. I asked her the same question. How did she follow God?
Ever since I was a little girl, I followed the ways of my mother, St. Catherine of Siena, and my father, St. Dominic. I have persevered with them all my life, and I will continue until I die.
And why did you not enter a convent? There are so many religious communities to choose from in this city. There are those whose charism focuses on the incarnation of Christ.
I would have happily become a nun if there had been a convent of St. Catherine of Siena. In fact, when the convent of St. Clare was founded, they urged me to enter. I was called by their first abbess, Doña Justina de Guevara, and also my grandmother Isabel was very devoted to San Francisco.
How old were you?
I was 19 years old. The convent of St. Clair was founded by His Excellency, Archbishop Toribio de Mogrovejo, who intervened on my behalf before a noble gentleman, Don Francisco de Saldana.
A great man with a caring soul.
They offered me a large dowry to become a nun and member of this contemplative convent. I told my mother and my confessor, Father Luis de Bilbao, and they advised me to accept this invitation. Just as the Archbishop's niece, Doña Maria de Quiñones, had done. Doña Maria encouraged me to be one of the first plants of that vineyard of sanctity.
If your mother and confessor both approved, why didn't you wear the Franciscan habit?
I remember that morning very well.
Rosa said that she was determined to enter the contemplative monastery of St. Clair. She was accompanied by her brother Fernando, when suddenly, in front of the convent of Our Lady of the Rosary, she heard the Lord's call.
Rosa, they're waiting for you at the convent of St. Clair. And it's already getting late.
One moment, please, brother. I have to talk to my beloved Lord.
But, Rosa! 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 Rosa, get up so we can go to the convent. Rosa, the abbots must be waiting for you. Rosa, Rosa, get up.
I couldn't stand. And I couldn't move.
Was it not the good of your soul that you were thinking of at that moment? You really didn't want to enter that order.
It was not me who decided. I was enlightened and understood that God did not want me in a cloistered convent. He wanted me to care for the sick and the marginalized slaves. I was called to give my life for them. Because they're the true scent of Christ.
Why did you wear a white habit?
The Lord asked me to approach the Third Order of St. Dominic and follow the example of St. Catherine of Siena. I asked Friar Alonso Velasquez to permit me to enter as a Third Order Dominican. So on Thursday, August 10th, 1606, I began wearing the white habit of St. Dominic. At that moment, I vowed to wear it until I died. I also wear a Franciscan habit as an inner vesture.
She, knowing herself unworthy of such a divine gift, had experienced in her own heart the wounds of God's love. Inspired by our Lord for 5 years, she had received all of the signs on different occasions The time of joy had arrived, which alternated with suffering and exquisite trials. She used to say, I am a slave, unworthy to be counted among the children of God.
When did she first perceive those wounds of love?
At the age of 26, she received these mercies with a heart tenderly in love with Christ. She begged all her confessors to correct her if she were acting incorrectly because of her ignorance.
Give us proof, Doctor. Show us proof!
Gentlemen, I'm going to give each and every one of you real and concrete evidence. These sheets in my hands were written by Rosa de Santa Maria herself. She entitled them, The Wounds of Tribulations Which Lead Us to the Heights of Grace. I'm going to give each one of you a copy. These documents are the originals. You can compare them with your own copies whenever you wish. Rosa was a very happy woman, even in the midst of her sufferings. Jesus constantly appeared to her as a child, other times as an adult, allowing her to enjoy the delights of heaven in advance. I ask myself, was it worth it to give God her whole life, to unite all her sufferings with His, for the salvation of the world? I believe the answer is yes. Without a doubt, Rosa was the happiest person in the world, having God in her heart.
What has happened to you, Doctor? Tell me, have you let yourself be carried away by these fictions? Oh, Doctor, what happened to your scientific mind?
I'm still the same Dr. de Padilla. The same.
I'm sorry for being late. Let's begin. Rosa, how do you explain all of this?
Many errors and faults can be explained by my frailty. And I believe you would agree with me that removing images of God can hurt.
Rosa, have you considered that your visions may have been caused by your fevers? Aren't you afraid of being a toy of the devil?
It could be, Reverend. I thought just one day when some dogs appeared before my eyes in the patio of my house. I told myself, this can only be the work of the devil. But then I realized that even this vision had something to tell me. I agree. The imagination is the madwoman of the house, and it is difficult at times to attain a clarity of consciousness.
Do you believe these apparitions of our Lord Jesus are products of your imagination?
The joy that these visions produce in me simply couldn't be imagined by my humble mind or the greatest painting.
What's your opinion, Doctor?
These are the degrees of God's love in which my heart burns. Explain this to us.
It's the exchange of hearts. I confess in the presence of God that all the mercies I have recorded in my notebook are faithfully represented on these 2 sheets of paper. I have never seen these written in any book. They were, in fact, wrought through this sinner by the powerful hand of the Lord. His Bible tells us he is eternal wisdom, who confounds the proud and exalts the lowly.
However, I see in your drawings that you use Renaissance style. Perhaps even Baroque.
Rosa, you combine words with images. In each drawing, there is a message to be deciphered. Are these riddles?
God has made priests in order for them to be preachers, and they shouldn't waste their time with flowery concepts, but in encouraging virtues and preventing vices. Along this path, many souls are won for God. If I were a preacher, I would walk barefoot, wearing a sackcloth and a crucifix, day and night, shouting in the streets so that my God would no longer be offended.
Rosa, the Holy Spirit descended upon the apostles and gave them power to proclaim the word of God with great boldness. Are we lacking this today?
One time, Jesus, my spouse, brought something to my attention. I had planted some basil in my parents' garden where I grew plants. To make the bouquets for the adoration of the most blessed sacrament of the convent, I brought these every Thursday to Friar Martin de Porres. But one day, I found my garden trampled and all the basil bushes were plucked. I was distressed when the Lord appeared to me and said, I did this. Because whoever has me, the flower of the field, doesn't have to carry flowers here on earth, but only dedicate himself to loving me. If I were a man, I would only be concerned about the conversion of souls.
Rosa, Father Lorenzana is also great in leading souls to the saving power of Christ.
In thanksgiving and in appreciation for your fatherhood in the church, I give you this gift. You will carry it with you until you die. It is made of roses, and is given to you by me, your spiritual daughter, Rosa de Santa Maria. I prayed a rosary on each of the 150 beads. I fasted one day for you, and offered an hour of prayer and meditation for you.
Rosa de Santa Maria painted the Holy Trinity with the white heart enthroned in the center. Gentlemen, we have before us a woman who, without an education, who through prayer alone achieved a station superior to that of many learned men or ecclesiastical doctors. The union of her soul with God. Her words are pure metaphysics, because God is the beginning and the end of her interior fires. Her soul is attracted to her Lord as iron to a magnet. The fear of Dr. de Padilla, and that of many religious people, can be seen as an alarming yet subtle fear of the new secular spirituality. It is very clear to see. Gentlemen, Mr. Notary, Don Jaime Blanco, I'm now finished.
And that concludes the testimony of Dr. Juan del Castillo.
Are you happy with the testimony, Father?
I am. Lord Notary.
We'll now recess for lunch, and then continue with the second witness.
Forgive me, Don Gonzalo, but I couldn't close her eyes.
Don't worry, Master Angelino. This work is finished.
The Italian painter, Angelino Medoro, returned to Europe and lived the rest of his life in Spain until his death in Sevilla in 1631. He left two indigenous apprentices in the Viceroyalty of Peru, Pedro de Loaiza and Luis de Riaño. His two paintings of Rosa de Santa Maria remain his most celebrated artistic work. Following the death of her husband, Rosa's mother, Maria de Oliva, became a nun in the convent of St. Catherine of Siena in 1629, just as her daughter had predicted. She died in 1637 and was buried there. Fernando Flores de Oliva, Rosa's brother, died in the south, which today is the nation of Chile. His daughter, whom he named Rosa in honor of his sister, lived in the convent of St. Catherine de Siena with her grandmother Maria de Oliva until her early death. Don Gonzalo de la Maza died on October 10, 1628, and was buried in the Franciscan abbot. His burial was one of the most elaborate in the city of Lima. He is buried in the parish of St. Peter. His house, where the saint died and went to be with God, has since become the cloistered convent of Santa Rosa de Santa Maria. Friar Francisco Balcazar concluded the first process for the cause of the beatification of Rosa after hearing the testimonies of 75 witnesses. He ended his days at the convent of St. Dominic.
Go with God. Our doors are always open for you, and this is your house. Come whenever you like. I'm moving on, and I'll let others know you've arrived. Don't delay.
I'll go now, Father. We still have many of Rosa's things in our home. Her parents took some of these, and the sisters took others. But there are more. I thought you'd want to take them.
No. I have everything I need in life. Everything until the day of my departure. She taught me the one true path to follow. Rather, take these for yourself and for your husband. Take very good care of them.
No. These writings have incalculable value.
I'm going to a place where I cannot properly safeguard this great testimony of truth. Many neither understand nor will understand the spiritual thoughts of Rosa. Go now. They are waiting for you.
Dr. Juan del Castillo joined the Order of Preachers as a friar. Before his death on August 25, 1636, he asked to be buried next to Rosa's grave. He was buried with great public acclaim at the feet of the saint whose cause he had championed. His remains rest in the monastery of St. Dominic.
Our first Creole saint.
Maria de Usategui zealously safeguarded Rosa's letters, which were released at the beginning of the 20th century. Until her death in 1644, she defended her husband's desire for their home to become the cloistered convent of Santa Rosa de Santa Maria, where her remains rest. Rosa de Santa Maria was beatified in 1668 by Pope Clement IX. 2 years later, Pope Clement X declared her patron saint of the Americas, the Philippines, and the West Indies. She was canonized on April 12, 1671 in the Sistine Chapel. Her feast day is celebrated on August 23rd and on August 30th in some Latin American countries, during which thousands of faithful gather to pay homage to the first saint of the New World. Today, the cell where Santa Rosa died is preserved as a sanctuary and contains her relics and those of other saints. In this place, to this day, the cloistered nuns of the convent, named in her honor, pray fervently, following the example of their patroness.